Thought I'd get a quick video in on this. I used to have an aluminum radiator in the Laser that I didn't like. It was pretty cobbed together. Functioned really great, but just didn't look that great. So I went to Summit and actually got their list of custom or universal radiators, I should say, that they have available. Aluminum, I think it was 180 bucks, somewhere in that range. Only drawback is it doesn't have decent clamps. You have to make your own clamps. So I wanted to show how I made the clamps. The bottom ones, instead of the top, I put them on the side. And they have padding. They come with these strips that you can put in. So I'm going to be going around sides and underneath. Size on the core is 16 high, and I think it's 24 across, 22, 24 across. So much bigger than Daytona's, and it's the same size as the Lasers. So the overall size is much smaller, but the core size is the same. Really thick core, as you can see. I'm not going to take the cardboard off it, but it's much thicker than stock, and that also brings up some problems. But we'll get to those down the road. So I'll put this in and we'll get back to it. So this is how I have it mocked up in here. I've got 4 brackets. Again, nothing on top. I'll probably put one on top later on. But I think 4 on the bottom, 2 on the bottom, 2 on the sides would be sufficient. I've got them slotted so I can have movement back and forth and up and down if I need to. So, nice and solid. It's not even locked down yet, and it's plenty solid to run it. As you can see, it's got the angled lower hose mount. And the thing I like is with my intercooler pipes, there's plenty of room over here to come out, go in and out. So that should work out nicely. Air conditioning condenser, plenty of room for that. I've got to make a shroud around it, keep the air going over the top. The other thing I wanted to show are I replaced the plastic covers over the headlights, and I went to a Zeus fastener setup. A buddy of mine does sprint cars and makes his own wings and body panels. So he whipped these up for me, just a little bit different than the stock panels that were in here, the plastic ones. These all have the quick Zeus fasteners set up. Use the stock holes for here, and then I just had to build a mount for the back ones. But if you're looking for a good way to mount things, that's what the race car guys do. So something to consider. I just wanted to show what's available. Again, I got my LED headlights, all the wirings in there, so if I ever have to get to it, this is nice and quick. Not that the other one was hard to do, but I just didn't like the looks of it. I am going to powder coat them black, and that should add a lot to it. But, definitely the way to go. I actually saw a car at the Chrysler show back about 10 years ago that had done this and really liked the looks of it, so I'm just copying kind of what he did. Not like I'm a genius. That's all they are. I thought I'd show the panels from the front. They sit pretty much like the standard ones do. The only thing, I needed a little bit more air intake for my air cleaner that's going to sit back here. So that half-inch space there will actually help me a little bit on that aspect. I'll also be able to get a little bit more out of these bottom panels that the laser has, the bottom openings. Air will get sucked up in there. So can't see the intercooler, but that's taking up that whole cavity with the air conditioning condenser and then the radiator behind it. But we also get these big scoops coming in for the laser that are an advantage. Another thing I'm working on is the cool air box. I redid it. I used to have a 1/4-inch aluminum panel that came up straight in about here. I moved it over a little bit. So I'm just going to take a little bit of space away from the air box, but it'll give me a little bit more space for the intercooler tubing. It's going to come out here, so it frees up a lot by being able to push this back. So this is just a mock-up I've got right now. So the airflow can come under the hood, come into here. Air cleaner, this pipe will actually go through a hole cut in the side, and the pipe, this pipe comes through, and then that runs to the turbo intake. So still a long ways away from it, but just trying to rework it a little bit to make it function a little better. So I thought I'd show that. I have redone all my harnesses, put sleeving on the outside of everything to make it look better. The positive battery terminal would be here. Of course, the battery's in the back. My ECU plug is down here. And of course my SMEC sits on the side. I've taken the cover off that. I don't know how much of that's actually showing through, but I run this with the cover off, thinking that it doesn't need the airflow across it because I'm going to have my air cleaner right here, so it's cold air intake, so it'll get plenty of airflow. Not like the stock one that was sitting more or less in the engine compartment where it's hot. I redid my harness, my main harness, with a quick disconnect. That way if I ever need to disconnect my fuse box from the harness, take and work on anything, I can do that. And all my other connectors are here. I got rid of all the fusible links years ago and went to the fuse box. I think I've shown this many times before, but just show it one more time. There's still a lot of room for expansion in there that I haven't used up. And these are just the stock functioning relays that we had laying around in the engine compartment. This is a connector. These are actually the wires that go out to the alternator. And because I replaced the stock 60 amp alternator with a 120, I doubled up the wires. So I have 2 wires for the positive that goes from my PDC, power distribution center. They'll run out to the alternator so I don't overload the wiring. I'll put a link to my thread on turbododge.com that explains how to do these if you're interested. So a ways away. I'm getting ready to drop the motor in, hopefully sometime this week. I should be in by Thanksgiving. I'm hoping to actually get the car running Thanksgiving weekend if we don't have snow by then. It's a pretty good chance we will, but so far we've been lucky. I was running brake lines back from the front of the car, and one of the things that I never realized were these brake line clips, how they worked. Actually, they've got a slot in the frame, and you just turn them 90 degrees. So if you ever have to take one of these out, you just remove the brake lines, turn it 90 degrees, and it'll pop right out. I've got one here at the back. It's kind of hard to see, but you can see how that slot goes in there. Just turn it 90 degrees and it clips in. So I can show you how I ran the lines for the back of the car. So I have one line coming back from the proportioning valve. Coming into here is secured with strain reliefs. It comes back to a 90 and then up, and then it splits off going over the gas tank, and I put it in a piece of radiator hose, or heater hose I should say, and that runs across to the other side. And then this one comes over to the driver's side. I realize you probably can't see much of this. So it comes over just like a normal line would do, but everything is all stainless lines, flex lines, running most of the car except for right at the wheels.